and welcome back to Middle School Digital Shorts. My name is Chris, and this is week 2 of our new series called It's Personal. Check this out. When I was in middle school, a long time ago, I was really into something super cool, super awesome, and super interesting. At least I thought so. What is it, you're wondering? It was the new Star Wars movie called The Phantom Menace. I thought it was the coolest thing ever seen, just how a young Anakin Skywalker grew up. And spoiler alert, that was Darth Vader. But all my friends, well, they all thought otherwise. And they were into some other movie called Wild Wild West. And at the time, and even today, Star Wars matters so much to me. It was personal for me, and because it was personal for me, I thought it was personal for everybody. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you thought everyone still cared about hoverboards or fidget spinners or Heelys as much as you do. But your dreams were crushed when you realized that most people had moved on from these trends years ago. Whatever it is, we all have stuff that matters to us, things that are personal to us, and a lot of times we show what matters to us to the people around us. And here's what I mean. I love t-shirts that are personal to me and about the things that I care about. Let me go ahead and show you exactly what I mean. Give me one moment. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of my t-shirts here, okay? But before I show you the t-shirts that I have here, I want you to see that the shirt I have on right now is one that is very important to me. It says pray often. It's a reminder that I should be talking with God all the time. And then there are these shirts, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you about them. The first one is a black t-shirt with a DJ on it. I love music. I love DJing. I have my own turntables at home. It's one of my favorite things to do. The second one is a little bit more serious. It says strong, but the T and the O are hollowed out, pretty much showing or meaning Toronto. So Toronto strong. It happened during a tough time in the city. The next one is a whole bunch of people, different colors, all unified together. I love this. It's a great meaning. And then the last one says famous enough, because the reality is I'm famous to God, and so are you. But all these shirts mean something to me. And it's personal. And even while you're at home, I can go ahead and take a guess that a lot of things matter to you as well. And these are the things that we care about as individuals. Things like video games or fashion, sports, music, animals, photography, fishing, TikTok, dance, or dancing on TikTok. And we all also have personal values that matter to us, like being kind, or getting good grades, or having a ton of friends, or making people laugh, or even following Jesus and coming here at Milestone Digital Shorts. And because we're so interested in that thing, or believe so strongly that what we value is important, it's easy to think it matters to other people as well. We feel that if it's personal for us, it means it's personal for others. If we care about something, that means that other people probably care about it too, right? Or maybe, even if we know other people don't really care about the things that we care about, we still think we know what they care about. That kid at school, or your new neighbor, the girl on your team, or the boy in your video game group, you don't really know them, but you think you do. You think you have them all figured out, even though you really haven't taken the time to get to know them personally. Here's the truth. We all do this. I want you to think about it. I bet you can all picture someone in your life right now that you think you have figured out. You think you know who they are and what they're into and what they're like. You think you understand what matters to them and what they care about. And you've probably thought those things based only on assumptions or observations from a distance. You don't really know what matters to them, but you think you do. That's because, like we said, it can be easy to think we have people figured out. It can be easy to feel like we know people personally, even when we don't. And while that may not seem like that big of a deal, I think it actually has the potential to impact both others and ourselves in some not so great ways. For starters, we tend to only hang out with people who we think are like us, who care about what we care about. And that means we leave out, avoid, or exclude people we think are different than us. Not only does that cause us to miss out on people who might actually bring a lot of great things to our lives, but it also leaves room for us to hurt them, whether we mean it or not. Or these assumptions we make about others and ourselves, well, it makes us feel like maybe we're the ones who don't fit in. We feel stuck, lonely, and misunderstood. We feel like nobody understands what really matters to us, like nobody really knows us on a personal level. That's why I love what Jesus did in the story of Zacchaeus. Jesus didn't make assumptions. Jesus made it personal by truly understanding what mattered to Zacchaeus. Before we get too far into Zacchaeus' story, let me give you some background on what was happening at that time. Jesus was becoming extremely popular, so more and more people were starting to follow him. He had fulfilled prophecies, worked miracles, and some of his sermons pretty much went viral. It's safe to say that people thought Jesus was a big deal. In this story we're about to read, Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem and had entered a city called Jericho. The crowd in Jericho was so excited to see Jesus that they welcomed him with palm branches and shouts of Hosanna, a term used to celebrate and express joy back then. It was here that Jesus had his last recorded personal encounter before he died on the cross, and that encounter was with Zacchaeus. And Zacchaeus wasn't someone you'd expect Jesus to personally connect with. In fact, I'd say it was probably the opposite. You see, Zacchaeus didn't have the best reputation. He was the chief tax collector, which meant that he had to collect taxes from citizens on behalf of Rome. The problem was that the tax collectors at the time were known to be dishonest and untrustworthy. Most people thought they were greedy thieves, and so that's how most people viewed Zacchaeus. If anyone could have made the argument, I don't really have time for you, it probably would have been Jesus in this moment. But instead, a different story took place. Let's take a look. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today. So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. Based on how the crowd viewed Zacchaeus, I bet that what Jesus did surprised everyone. But Jesus saw something about Zacchaeus that the crowd didn't. The crowd saw someone who was greedily took more money than he should have. The crowd saw someone who kept all the nice things for himself. The crowd had every reason to assume that what mattered to Zacchaeus was money and wealth. But Jesus saw a grown man who had run ahead of the crowd to climb a tree. He saw someone who was so interested in meeting the rumored Savior that he didn't care what his reputation was or what assumptions people made about him. Jesus saw a man desperately interested in finding hope. Zacchaeus wanted hope so desperately that he climbed a tree just to get a glimpse of the guy he heard would be able to give it to him. The people thought they knew all about Zacchaeus. To them, he was nothing more than a greedy, sinful traitor, the exact opposite of the kind of person Jesus should have noticed, let alone asked to hang out with. You see, Jesus knew what Zacchaeus did for a job and what people thought about him. But Jesus didn't let assumptions tell him who Zacchaeus was personally or what really mattered to him. Jesus made his interaction with Zacchaeus personal because Jesus knew what mattered to him. And the truth is, Jesus does the same for us. You see, it's personal because Jesus knows what matters to you. Jesus sees more than what everybody else sees. Jesus sees into the very heart of all of us. He looks past all the outward things like reputations and assumptions. So the next time you wonder if anyone cares about what you care about, the next time you feel alone or misunderstood or just out there on your own, I want you to think about Jesus, who knows you in a personal way, who knows your world and knows what matters to you, who cares about the real you, not the one everyone thinks that they know. Remember, it's personal because Jesus knows what matters to you. So, what can we take from this? How can we learn from Jesus' example? Well, I think there are two things we can do to make it personal. One for ourselves and one for others. First, we can make it personal for ourselves by talking to Jesus about what matters to us. Jesus cares about every single thing you care about, so tell Jesus what matters to you. Pray often about it. Write it down. Jesus wants to talk to you about anything and everything, just like we would with our best friends. And the more that we talk about it, about the things that matters to us, the more connection we actually will feel with him. And the more personal Jesus will become to us. Now, maybe you're thinking, I don't really know what matters to me yet. I have some interest and some things I care about, but are they the things that really matter to me? And if that's you, I totally get it. Honestly, that's normal. We're all constantly learning and figuring out what matters to us. And one of the best ways you can keep discovering that is by talking to Jesus about it. Second, we can make it personal with others. In his encounter with Zacchaeus, Jesus demonstrated what he wants you and I to do for other people's lives as well. To look past the assumptions and what we think we know about each other and what matters to us, to make it personal, to take the time to get to know other people and discover what matters to them. So, how do we do this? We just need to be intentional about getting to know someone. We need to look beyond what we think matters to them and even beyond what matters to us. And instead, we can actually get to know more about who they are by taking an interest in their list of interests. Start with one person who you think you already know things about, or someone you may have never taken the time to get to know personally. I want you to talk to them. I want you to ask them about what matters to them and then pay attention to what they say. Take an interest in other people and you might just be surprised to find that you have more in common than you thought. You may find that you've made a personal connection where there wasn't one before. Remember, it's personal because Jesus knows what matters to you. And because of that, he wants you to make it personal by discovering more about what matters to yourself and someone else. You know what? Your home is a great place to do just that. It's a perfect place where you can learn about what matters to your family and to show them that you truly care about who they are as people. It's a place to share what matters to you the most and let them know you in return. Now, as we wrap up this week's time, here's a question that I want you to think about throughout the week and discuss with an adult in your life or your parents. What's one thing that matters to me? It's great to be with you. Much love. I will see you next time.